What if the abyss you fear to gaze into is the only mirror that can show you who you truly are? What if the chaos whispered not madness, but the forgotten name of your own becoming? You have been taught to seek order, to build walls around thought, to tame the storm within and call it sanity. But tell me, have you ever asked who built those walls, or why they tremble when the wind of truth blows just a little too hard? The world sings lullabies of comfort, yet beneath each note lies a silent scream, the scream of the herd refusing to hear its own silence. And you, yes you, trembling between obedience and rebellion, are you still listening with the ears of the crowd, or have you dared to forge your own voice in the fire of solitude? There is a moment, only one, fleeting as lightning in a starless sky, when the soul stands at the edge of meaning and must decide, will it kneel before the weight of tradition, morality, the soft chains of consensus, or will it laugh at gravity itself and rise, not above good and evil, but beyond their illusion entirely? You were not born to follow paths paved by others, no. You were born to walk through ruins, to step over God's throne, to carve you into the flesh of time. But first, you must confront what lives in the shadows of your own mind, the part that fears freedom more than it hates slavery. Can you feel it? That quiet nausea behind the eyes, the vertigo of possibility? It is the same terror felt by those who first looked into the void and realized. It was looking back, not with hatred, not with malice, but with perfect indifference. The world does not care for your dreams, your plans, your fragile hopes stitched together by borrowed beliefs. It offers no answers, only echoes of your own questions. So ask again, but louder this time. Ask until the mountains shake and the stars lean closer to listen. Somewhere inside you, there is a war without drums, a battle not of swords but of interpretations. Every value you hold is a battlefield. Every truth you cling to, a tomb of something greater it has killed. What if strength is not found in certainty, but in the courage to dance on the tightrope of uncertainty? What if power is not domination, but the art of becoming untimely, of seeing to the mass of the present and touching the raw pulse of eternity? You carry the hammer, yes, but do you dare strike not the idol, but the pedestal beneath it? Then come, step beyond the last man, beyond the echo of crowds and the warmth of easy truths. Enter the storm where all certainties dissolve and only the will remains, a flame unquenched by time, unbound by heaven or hell. This is not a lesson. It is an initiation. And once begun, the return is a lie told by those too afraid to embrace the tempest within. Are you ready to stop seeking permission and begin creating yourself? You have lived in the shadow of God's long dead, yet their ghosts still whisper in your ear. You were told that truth is a fortress, morality an anchor, and meaning something waiting to be found, like a coin dropped in the dust of time. But what if meaning is not discovered, but forged? What if truth is not solid ground, but shifting sands beneath your feet? The world you trust is built on pedestals carved by trembling hands, and every idol once worshipped now lies forgotten beneath its own weight. And still, you walk with borrowed eyes, speak with borrowed words, dream with borrowed hopes stitched together from the corpses of ancient certainties. What trembles inside you is not doubt. It is the birth cry of something greater than belief. It has no name yet because names are prisons, and this thing refuses to be caged. It is the echo of a will unchained, the pulse of becoming that beats louder with every lie you swallow and spit back out. You were never meant to kneel before ideals that crumble under the weight of your own gaze. No, you were born to dance on the tightrope of existence, where safety is illusion and balance is a myth whispered by those afraid to fall. And fall you must, for only in falling can you learn to fly. Do you hear it? That voice in the storm, not calling you back, but daring you forward? It speaks in riddles wrapped in silence, in truths too sharp for soft tongues. It says, become who you are, not who they made you, not who you pretend to be when mirrors watch, but the raw force that moves behind the mask, the fire that burns without asking permission. This is not a command, but a challenge, a duel between your present self and the God you could become. And like all duels, someone must die. Will it be the man you were, or the fear that keeps him alive? You've been taught that strength is control, that power is dominance, that peace comes from order. But strength is chaos mastered, not denied. Power is creation, not conquest. Peace is not the absence of conflict, but the presence of purpose so fierce it consumes hesitation. Every moment you spend chasing comfort is another nail in the coffin of your potential. Every compromise you make with mediocrity is a wound inflicted upon the soul. You were not born to fit into the world. You were born to bend it, break it, remake it in your image. If you refuse, then do not weep when the world molds you instead. There is a war within you, not between good and evil, but between what is and what could be. The battlefield is your mind, your body, your breath. The enemy wears your face in moments of weakness, whispers your name in times of surrender. It is not outside you. It is the part of you that fears freedom more than it hates slavery, that fears growth more than it resists decay, that clings to the familiar even when it rots. This is not a war to be won with swords, but with vision, with clarity so sharp it cuts through illusion, with courage so deep it drinks from the well of uncertainty and calls it sweet. Can you bear the weight of responsibility without the comfort of blame? Can you hold the hammer without fearing what it might shatter? The idols you destroy are not just external. They are the beliefs you carry like chains around your neck, the voices that tell you what you deserve, what you cannot change, what you must accept. You have been trained to seek answers, but the real question is whether you are willing to live with the questions themselves, to let them burn, twist, expand until they become new forms of thought, new ways of being. To ask is human. To remain unanswered, that is divine. The abyss does not offer salvation. It offers reflection. And in that reflection, you will see not monsters or saints, but something far more terrifying. Yourself stripped of masks, stripped of excuses, stripped of the comforting lies that keep the herd asleep. Most turn away. They call it wisdom. They call it maturity. But it is only cowardice dressed in the robes of reason. Only the few who stare longest into the void begin to understand. The terror is not in what they see, but in the realization that nothing sees back. There is no judge, no jury, no final answer waiting at the end of time. Only the will, only the act, only you, and still you hesitate. Why? Because the unknown is vast, and the known, though small, fits you like a worn-out coat. Because the path ahead demands everything, your certainty, your comfort, your identity as it is. Because the transformation you crave requires the death of the self you cling to. But remember, every metamorphosis begins with collapse. Every phoenix must burn before it rises. Do not mistake pain for failure. Pain is a forge. Pain is a flame that shapes what cannot be broken. And if you run from it, you'll find no peace, only a different kind of suffering. What do you truly want? Not what society expects, not what your parents dreamed, not what your fears whisper in the dark, but the raw hunger beneath all of it. Name it. Speak it aloud, even if your voice shakes, because desire is the engine of becoming. Without it, you drift. With it, you create. But beware. Once you awaken the will, there is no return to sleep. Once you taste the fire, the lukewarm becomes unbearable. Once you see the game, the rules lose their power. This is not a curse. It is the burden and the gift of the one who dares to be sovereign over his own destiny. You were not born to follow maps drawn by others. You were born to carve paths through wilderness, to build bridges between what is and what could be, to leave footprints where none dared step before. Your life is not a puzzle to be solved, but a sculpture to be shaped, one chisel strike at a time. And each blow removes what is unnecessary, revealing the form hidden beneath the stone. But the sculptor suffers. His hands bleed. His arms ache. He doubts. Yet he continues, not because he knows the final shape, but because he trusts the act itself. This is your task, not to find meaning, but to give it, not to seek approval, but to earn respect through action, not to avoid suffering, but to master it, to drink from the cup of hardship and call it sweet wine. The weak complain, the strong transform, the strongest create. You are capable of more than you allow yourself to believe. You feel it in flashes, in dreams that vanish with the morning light, in moments of silence when the noise of the world fades and something deeper speaks. Listen to that voice. Follow it, even if it leads you into darkness, especially if it leads you into darkness. For it is in the dark that the soul finds its own light, in the silence that thought becomes clear, in the chaos that order is reborn, not imposed from above, but forged from within. You are not here to survive. You are here to transcend, to rise not above others, but beyond the limits you have accepted as truth, to embrace the storm, not as victim, but as creator, as artist, as God of your own becoming. And when you finally stand in the eye of that hurricane, you will understand the chaos was never the enemy. It was the crucible. And you were always meant to emerge refined, sharpened, unrecognizable to the person you once were. So go now, take the first step, or the next, or the last, for the journey is not measured in miles, but in moments of decision, in breaths taken with intention, in choices made not from habit, but from will. The world will not cheer you. The crowd will not follow. But that is not why you began. You began because something inside you refused to be silent, refused to be tamed, refused to be anything less than what it knew in secret corners of the soul that it could be. Now rise, not to conquer, not to escape, but to create, to become, to exist not as echo but as thunder. And if you listen closely, you will hear already, faint, distant, growing stronger, the sound of your own becoming. And now, as the final echo of this storm begins to fade into silence, you stand at the threshold, not of an ending, but a beginning that has been waiting for you, patient and unyielding. Since the first time you questioned what it means to truly live, the words have done their work, not by telling you who you are, but by reminding you of what you have always known in the deepest chambers of your being, that you are not a prisoner of fate, but its sculptor. That chaos is not your enemy, but the raw marble from which greatness is carved. You have walked through fire and emerged not unscathed, but transformed, because transformation is never gentle. It is the breaking of shells, the unraveling of comfort, the death of illusions so dear they feel like truth. And yet, here you are, standing not on solid ground, but on the edge of becoming, not with answers, but with questions so fierce they burn like stars inside your chest. This is the moment where most turn back, where the weight of freedom becomes too heavy, where the path of self-creation demands more than they are willing to give. Will you be one of them? Or will you remember, when doubt creeps in like fog over the soul, that you were born not to fit, but to forge? That every wound, every failure, every moment of despair is not a sign to stop, but proof that you are alive enough to feel the friction of growth? You are no longer the child of borrowed truths or inherited fears. You are the author of your own myth, the painter of your destiny, the god of your own awakening. Let this not be the end of your journey, but the first breath of a new way of seeing. Let the silence after these words be not empty, but pregnant with possibility, with tension, with a quiet roar ready to rise. And if something within you has shifted, if even one ember of forgotten power has been stirred aflame, then do not let it die in solitude, because the world needs those who dare to see beyond the veil of consensus, who refuse to kneel before idols of mediocrity, who carry the fire of self-overcoming like a torch through the night. So if you have felt the tremor of truth, If you have glimpsed the shape of who you could become, then do not walk away unchanged. Like this video, not as approval, but as affirmation. Share it, not as noise, but as signal. Subscribe, not for content, but for communion. For the path ahead is long, and though you must walk it alone, you need not begin in silence. There is a hammer waiting in your hands. Do not fear the sound it makes when it strikes. It is the music of creation. It is your voice returning to you, forged in the abyss. It is the birth cry of the God you are becoming.